So, hello everyone. Good to see you guys. Yeah, let's start with, as usual, with a short tuning the motivation kind of thing. So, since this is a text by Shantideva that is not only an information, but something that is supposed to be liberating. So that should be our motivation, that we are not only accumulating some information, but that we really take these instructions to our heart so that we liberate ourselves, so that we are able to liberate others as well. And because it's about bodhichitta, so bodhichitta is about benefiting others. That is our aim. And for that, yeah, let's get liberated first. So in your own words or thoughts, please generate that kind of motivation. Okay, thank you. Today I think will be fairly easy, so but let's see what we can discuss on it. And I'm planning that we finish chapter 5 today. I think we talked about it since many months already. So let's bring that to a sort of good conclusion. Where we are here in the text is, yeah, as I said, chapter 5. So that is about. So we are now in the aspect of discipline where we really want to benefit others, where we want to wish them well, and where we practiced in the previous verses. We practiced a lot of generosity, like we were generous with our food or with our clothes or medicine, and then also with the Dharma, and of course we can include all the other aspects of generosity as well, like giving fearlessness or giving time and giving your heart, giving space, and all of that. And here, but here it's specifically about giving Dharma. So that means these next verses are a little bit aimed at those people who give Dharma. And there will be very meticulous or very detailed and sometimes very wordly descriptions what to do and what not to do. And all this is always so that the audience of the Dharma teacher doesn't feel uninspired. That is the idea. So once one is in a position to give the Dharma, then it's good to have a behavior and a conduct that is inspiring and encouraging, and therefore like disgusting behavior or very strange behavior should be avoided. Of course, there's always this crazy wisdom tradition where everything is possible, be as outrageous as possible if you are in that state. But that is here more like in the disciplined kind of way, what we should do in order to keep other people inspired to trigger even more respect in them towards ourselves, actually. But here ourself doesn't mean like me the person, but it means that they respect me as a person who is maybe representing the Dharma. So we want them to maintain their respect towards the Dharma or to Buddha and the Sangha. So it's not about that they're respecting me personally, but we want to keep them inspired and encouraged and respectful towards the Dharma. That is the main thing. Please understand the following verses in that light, because it's otherwise it's a little bit strange. So we are here in verse 91. Let's see if I find it on my screen. Mm-hmm. always very dangerous to share something. So here. Mm. When I spit or throw away the stick for cleaning my teeth, I should cover it up with earth. Also, it is shameful to urinate and so forth in water or on land used by others. I mean, even though I said it is more meant for Dharma teachers, but of course it is also meant, it's also very helpful to follow these things if we are Buddhist and we are representing Buddhism in front of non-Buddhist people, for example, that is sort of the same relationship where people think whatever we do, whatever we say, however we act, however we think, represents the Dharma. And if they think so, if they perceive it like us like that, therefore, we better shape up, basically, we better behave properly, that we are not shedding a bad light on the Dharma or on the Buddha. So here, this is very, very, very clear. So when we have a toothpick, there's whatever we find between our teeth, that's hanging there, then yes, let's be discreet about it. Nobody wants to see the palak paneer from yesterday, so we just hide it somewhere. That is the first point. And then the same, true, we don't pee or shit or whatever somewhere, in some places. And that is just not something that would be inspiring to others normally. So just avoid that. I think actually it's one of the, I forgot which, there are many lists of vows, but I think there's in a Bodhisattva vow that is also mentioned actually. We should not urinate into water because that is polluting them, and beings live in that or beings drink from that. That's really easy to understand here. And of course, these are just examples that were especially maybe disgusting or shameful to do in the ancient Indian time. Of course, we should apply that to the modern time. But I think these are, at least in Germany, they are sort of also something we should avoid. I don't know in your countries. And then in 92, also very simple one. When eating, I should not fill my mouth, eat noisily or with my mouth wide open. I should not sit with my legs outstretched, nor rub my hands together. Yes. Yeah, I think that's also the normal etiquette, how you eat in a restaurant. You try not to, you did not stuff your mouth totally full, and you don't create so much noise when you eat, and you don't have your mouth open when you eat. And then, even in the commentaries, it said we should not even talk when we eat. I think that goes hand in hand together with not opening your mouth. I know my father, when he was a child, he was not allowed to eat at the table, when they had lunch or dinner. That was normal, What did they say? You should see the kids, but you should not hear them. That kind of, it's really not nice. But but I'm just saying, it's not so ancient Indian only. It's like, I think in different cultures we have maybe similar things, how we should behave when we eat. And when we sit on the floor, we should not have our legs outstretched, but more like whatever, like a meditation posture, or you kneel down. All this, you might have noticed also, is always, the idea is to be a little bit unnoticed, to be a little bit under the radar, so that you don't create noise, you don't occupy so much space, you try not to be dominant. Of course, if you have, what is it, like an inferior complex, these advices might be a little bit counterproductive. But if you have like a big ego, you know, and if you're used to egocentric behavior, or if everything circles around your ideas always, then I think these are really good mind training advices, so that we take ourselves a little bit out of the picture, you know, and that we accept that the world is functioning very well also with our constant interfering and influence. And then not wrap my hands together. That is basically the idea, you know, like Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche normally shows it like that, you know, that we should not, when we wash hands, I'm not putting water on my computer here now, but we shouldn't do it like that, you know, that we wash both hands at the same time, but we should wash them like one after the other sequentially. So first we wash one hand, and we do that with the one hand, and then we wash the other hand and do that with the other hand. Apparently, by that, less water is sprinkling around, and that, so therefore we are not disturbing our people next to us, you know. That is apparently the idea. Yes. Okay, now it becomes a little bit more interesting or more difficult. The next one. I should not sit alone in vehicles, upon beds, nor in the same room with the women of others. In brief, having observed or inquired about what is proper, I should not do anything that would be disliked by the people of the world. We had that already a few verses ago when it was about teaching. We should also not teach to a woman that is unaccompanied. I'm not sure if I find it now. It must be here. Here, 89. Nor to a woman unaccompanied by a man. And now we should not sit alone in vehicles, upon beds, nor in the same room with the women of others. Yeah. Again, please keep in mind, Shantideva is teaching that to assumingly heterosexual monks. That is the assumption here. So therefore, their desired objects are women. Yeah. So that's all, you know. Please, in your head, you know, you go through all different permutations, you know. If it's a lesbian nun, you know, then of course we are talking also about women. But if it's a homosexual monk, then yes, we're talking about men. So just do whatever you like, and yeah, whatever your fantasy is giving you. The idea is, yeah, it's always safer, you know, to if you're a monk, let's say here, heterosexual monk, and you're with a woman in one room, then yeah, things could happen. That is one thing. The second thing is, people could think that things have happened. And that is sometimes the bigger thing. And then nowadays, you know, everything is shared on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere. And a lot of rumors are happening. So therefore, it is good, especially if you're like a young monk, you know, and a young woman. It's very cliche, you know, but just then the fantasy of people is going more crazy, you know. Then, yeah, don't do that, you know. Don't be in a room with another woman who's not related to you. So therefore, the idea is always, yeah, bring somebody else as a witness, you know, and yeah, even better if you're a monk, then bring a second lady in the room as a witness. And again, it's not only to protect you as the monk to do something naughty, but it is hopefully stopping the fantasy of others when they think what is happening in the room, you know. Of course, a threesome is always could be happening, but that is not the point here. And then the last one here from 93, this is something that Rinpoche really talks a lot about, you know, which means when we behave, we should do that in accordance to the culture. Mm. So since I'm sort of German, and if I would move to China, then it would be good to follow the culture and the rules and the regulations there, you know, and the customs. So if it's, or maybe Japan, it's like that, I don't know. But let's say in Japan, if I move to Japan, I think it's not so polite to look into the eyes, maybe to somebody when you greet that person. I don't know, just making it up. So then don't do it in China, you know, or in Japan. In Germany, it would be not polite to not look. So in Germany, you are supposed to look into the eyes of people when you greet them. But maybe in Japan, you should not, especially if it's like a king or somebody like that, or a queen. So therefore, it's good then not be like this bad German tourist, you know, who wants to be German everywhere. But then we have to adapt, you know, we have to adapt to what people want, what people need, what people do, and act accordingly. Yeah, maybe a better example is in many countries, like sticking out the tongue is not a polite thing. But in Tibet, it is, you know, it means you're happy to see each other, or you're even pointing to the right direction with your tongue. You know, when people ask you where to go, and then they show it with with their tongue, you know. So that is totally okay. And here, the idea is that the bodhisattvas, they play along, you know, they just follow the games and plays and the rules of ordinary sentient beings. And Khyentse Rinpoche is often emphasizing that this is important because we have to put ourselves in their shoes, you know, if we want to teach or help them. We have to have huge empathy, you know, and understand how they think, how they behave, how they speak. And so Khyentse Rinpoche normally is saying, yeah, we should behave like a barbarian, or even think like a barbarian. And that is interesting, because if we are Bodhisattva and we are in a barbarian country, we should think like a barbarian. And that, I think one needs to have a good mental strength to not believe then what we are thinking. You know what I mean? If we would be, I mean, if I start to think in a certain way, like the Japanese people, for example, but they are not barbarians, they are the opposite. But if I think in a barbarian way, of course, that creates a tendency, and it might be tempting that I believe these thoughts and that I become a barbarian. But of course, that is not the idea. We should still be the Bodhisattva. We should still know that the Dharma is the right thing. But nevertheless, we have to think and speak and act like a barbarian, just so that they accept us, you know, and they can relate to us, and that we are approachable. Yeah, that is the idea here. I think Rinpoche also said, yeah, it doesn't matter. There are so many examples. Is that clear, or shall we discuss on something here? If you want to say something, just unmute yourself. We are such a small group, so we can just discuss. According to this logic, if I trap in Liberia, for example, I start to eat people. Yeah, you can't see it. I think she wrote it to me personally. According to this logic, if I trap in Liberia, for example, I start to eat people. Do they eat people? Sorry, I'm so uneducated. I thought in Papua New Guinea they eat people. They're cannibals. Yeah, exactly, cannibals. That's a good question, huh? Maybe yes, actually. I think Jens Rinpoche would say yes. Maybe you don't start to start a restaurant, and then and then do that as your profession, and killing and preparing humans. But usually, when I observe Rinpoche, when he's Khyentse Rinpoche, when he's traveling somewhere, and he's normally eating whatever food is offered, And for example, once where we have been, I must be Taiwan, I think, and then they served this chicken feet, and I couldn't eat that, and he was happily eating them, and for me it looked so strange, Rinpoche there putting like a feet of a chicken in his mouth. Yeah, but he was happily doing that because the host, for them it was important, and for them it was important that he is accepting his offering. So therefore, yes, I think I know it's strange to say, but I think we should just try to follow all the things, or all the customs, but not because we mean it. And we should not overdo it. As I said, Rinpoche didn't start like this chicken feed restaurant in Taipei now, but we should blend in and then change the system from inside. That is sort of the idea, So first they have to accept you, and they have to have this openness to you, and they have to think you are similar. So therefore, in the beginning, you give them what they want, but then you slowly you introduce them to what they need, and then slowly you teach them not to eat humans. That is normally how the idea is. Yeah.
Also, I feel at Rinpoche's level, he can accept the offering. Lay people like us, accepting, we can always say happily no, right? We don't anyways get offerings from people. Like somebody like a Rinpoche would get offerings.
Yeah, but I was at the same table, and I was also supposed to eat the chicken feet, and I couldn't. And that is so small of me, because I eat the fillet, Yes, that I eat, It looks clean and pure, and I know it. It's tender, and it's more abstract because I don't know what part of chicken that is. So that was really like small-minded, but I couldn't, I was so strange, and. So my point is, I should have done it too. Yes, but I have my preferences, and they're really. If I mean, it was clean and everything. It's not like they asked me to eat shit. Which could be another test. But they asked me to eat another part of the chicken that I was eating. Yeah, I think, especially if we think we are Vajrayana practitioners and do Tsok and so on, we should have less preferences than me, really.
Arne, question for you. I mean, at that level of, I guess, bodhisattva, let's say you have to eat those, you're eating those chicken feet. You may not have, are you neutral, or is it at a point where you're actually understanding the enjoyment that the other people get when they eat the chicken feet?
I think it's positive because you do it with the right motivation, because you want to blend in order that people connect to you and that you can lead them to liberation. So with that kind of motivation, you have a positive mind. But then regarding the taste and everything of it, you are more neutral. I mean, you don't care. You just play along.
Okay.
Like when parents look there's always the sandcastle example, when the parents look at the kids building sandcastles and they think it's permanent and they think now they live in it, next to the ocean. Then of course the parents play along and they say, yes, this is my room, and here we have our dragons and so on. But they totally know that, of course, we will not live there, but they just, on a more superficial level, they just play along and make the child happy, you know. But they don't mean it. I think that is like, yeah, when I say they don't mean it, I think that rings the bell how Khyentse Rinpoche is describing provisional teachings and definite teachings, right? Provisional teachings just to lure people or to attract people. You can use whatever teaching, you know, but then, yeah, once you have done that, then you give the definite teachings, you know, that you really mean.
I think ultimately it all the intent matters, right? Because somebody like a Shapkar or the other Bodhisattva, even if it is offered to them as offering, they would definitely not touch meat, no matter what. Like it's ultimately a preference, and also like individual intent or intent also that matters, right?
Yes, I think, yeah, it always depends on the context, the situation, the audience, and the relationship to the audience. Yes. But for example, when I again watch Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche, if he is in a public setting like in a university, he's really fulfilling all the wishes of everyone. You know, he's friendly, smiling, and he seems to have so much time. You know, but then the closer you are to him, and the more he knows that you are hooked with him, you know, and you are his victim, then of course he can ignore you and be provocative and everything. And outrageous, and then of course he will say, of course don't eat meat, you know, and so there he will totally change, you know. And yes, so therefore it is, if we assume that the teachers have that wisdom, then of course in some situations they totally blend in, but maybe in some situations they already start to be very strong and say, no, we are vegetarians, you know, we don't kill any sentient beings. Yeah.
But Arne, how we can know what is right in the right moment, you know? How I can decide if, okay, I'm going to say that I'm vegetarian, or I'm going to say, okay, give me that meat, it's very tasty, and so on. How you can decide where is what's like provisional or ultimate truth, kind of?
I mean, that is a general problem always, right? We only a Buddha will make the right decision, right? And so we only have the best possible wisdom and compassion at the moment, and that is all we have to decide. And yeah, I mean, every day it's like that. When I look back how I decided yesterday, I'm already regretting it, you know, like it's evolving, hopefully. Or how Khyentse Rinpoche puts it, you know, the guest job becomes more and more refined on the path. So at the moment, I don't have the wisdom. So therefore, I can only guess and assume what is the best in this present situation. But then the more I practice and compassion and wisdom helps, or they are the key factors, then my decisions will be better tomorrow. And then, of course, we can apply some parameters. Normally, the quantity of people who are benefited is a parameter. If you think, yeah, many people are benefited, if I decide like that, then that's a good thing. And then also, what is the word? The sustainability, sustainability, the long-lastingness of the effect is also a good parameter. You know, if it's just a short-term benefit, then maybe it's not so important to decide to do that. But if it's a long-lasting thing, and if it's maybe even something that is liberating, if the effect is a little bit more in the direction of liberation, that is also preferred. But yes, at my level, it's I'm just guessing all the time. There's not the certainty, you know. There's not the confidence. What do you think, Nadia?
I remember that some teachers said that the Bodhisattva has to know about different stuff, different kinds of subjects. So
Yes.
there is the possibility to blend in and to get with other attention is more effective. For example, if I'm talking with a person who loves astronomy, I can do examples of meditations or vipassana using the words of telescope, planets, universe, and then the person can kind of like it, but he doesn't know that I'm doing like that because he likes astronomy. So the examples for him are like that, and he said, "Oh, the Dharma is incredible," but I'm using what he likes
Yes.
to attract the person.
I'm a little bit confused at the moment with Bodhicharyavatarā because I'm in different cycles, in like receiving teachings on different chapters, but it is written very clearly somewhere in the Bodhicharyavatarā, I think even in this chapter, yes, a bodhisattva should learn all fields of knowledge.
Exactly.
It's so important, you know, and then we have normally the 10 fields of knowledge. I think it's coming actually today.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we have the normal, in Dharma, we have the 10 fields of knowledge, you know, the 5 outer sciences and the 5 inner sciences. Yes, and we should learn all of them because it's, yeah, we need many methods, many tools to help others. Yes.
For example, Sonsei Kyatso Rinpoche, when he talks, I like feel that I think that he knows about so many subjects. It's so vast. So I think, yeah, we have to need that curiosity about the world and what other people's like to transform that and using it as a tool for Dharma.
Yes, and as you earlier said also, yeah, we use then we can adapt our examples to the background of the person. I think Patrul Rinpoche was using always this yak, cowherd, nomad, cowboys, cowgirls examples because he had nomads as, as his students, you know. And Buddha Shakyamuni used like also field and water buffalo, you know. And of course, you as an architect, maybe the teacher could introduce to you that Amitabha is the greatest architect ever because he was building Sukhavati, you know, and you can enter that place just by devotion, you know. So one can, yeah, I think it's good, yeah, to use examples that resonate with the audience, yeah. And then for that, yes, exactly, for all that, I think we talked about that, and Gampopa is talking about that, and many others. We need to know the minds of people, you know. That is really indispensable if you want to be a good teacher. Because otherwise you're so dependent on the words that they say, and that can be very misleading, confusing, and contradicting. So therefore shamatha comes in handy also to have a little bit more clarity and then of course the active willingness, the wish to try to be receptive to what they think. Yeah, but really for me always the word like what they want and what they need is for me is always so helpful. In the beginning we have to give everything what they want, you know, their examples, their reference points, their culture, everything. But if we would only do that, they would not change at all, you know. So therefore, at some point, we have to introduce a little bit more what they need, you know, so that they get out of their normal habits and their mental cocoon.
Wow, that's more difficult. That you need more skillful means for doing that. I'm just in the first stage, like the example kind of.
That's a good start. Okay. Oh yeah, more easy advice here. Hello, Mario. An easy advice on 2 pages here. 94. I should not give directions with one finger, but instead indicate the way respectfully with my right arm, with all my fingers fully outstretched. So if I point the way like this, with one finger of my left hand, that's apparently not what we should do. But then, yeah, use the right hand and show like respectfully the way. Maybe Pallavi can help us. Is that still the case in India?
Yeah, actually, they say that you're not like. I'm not too sure about the extent of using finger for the road, but here it's a little step ahead. But when you're talking to a person, like I can't like say this, or reprimand, or even if I'm saying something good, because it's like pointing the finger and in your face kind of thing, it's not
Yeah.
nice. So that is India, the context is more from person to person. It's not so much about the road as such.
Okay, yeah.
Or inanimate objects or situations, that's fine.
Okay. I remember actually when I was a child, they told me, don't point with a naked finger to somebody who is dressed.
What is naked finger?
I don't know. That's really how they educate us. That's a naked finger because I don't wear gloves and I should not point to somebody who is dressed. Implying in the sauna I can do it. I don't know. Yeah, but no, it's also impolite in German, especially if you go like very close to the face,
Yeah.
That is quite aggressive. And yeah, I think the whole hand is always good, Also, when we do prostrations, we should also keep the fingers together, and not like this. I don't know what they say. You are reborn as a frog or a goat or something if you prostrate like this.
When do you use this?
No, when you touch the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, so all fingers outstretched. Yeah, but I think it looks nicer with the whole hand. It's a little bit more elegant. And the next one is similar. Again, keep in mind it's just not to take up so much space or be wild and uncontrolled, but you try to be an inspiring example. So 95 is, nor should I wildly wave my arms about, but should make my point with slight gestures and a snap of the fingers. Otherwise, I shall lose control. Yeah, really, the idea is not to be wild or don't appear to be very uncontrolled or noisy. And here with the finger snap, yeah, I heard different explanations. Some say, like the teachers do that, if they need your attention because you're sitting like 5 meters away from their throne, they snap the finger and you sort of know what to do. And other teachers also say, since generally we try to be very like low key, unnoticed, then sometimes people even don't notice that you are in the room and doing stuff. So then therefore you do like this, or you make some noise, so that just that they know that you are there, So they explain it like that. Yeah, but again, the idea is just to be a little bit together and calm and controlled. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, it should be inspiring, and yeah, I think that is normally how people would imagine somebody who's meditating, that this person is a little bit like that. And yeah, usually I think the Rinpoches really, when they sit on the throne or otherwise also, but on the throne it's easy to see, they do some small gestures and people know, that they should come up or what they should do. It's very discreet and elegant always. And and of course it should be polite, and yeah, in many different languages we also have this polite language. In Tibetan we have really like basically two different vocabularies for everything, you know. If you talk to me, you use the colloquial, and then if you talk to your guru, you use the polite, the honorific version of everything. I mean, the particles are the same, but like the nouns and verbs are really different. In German, we also have that. I mean, the easy thing, what is it? We say you or the, you know, THEE, the polite way of saying you. It's, I think, a very old Christian thing. But this is very active, or in French also, you know, the vous and tu, vous, yeah. And I'm sure in other languages too. So that there, of course, also we should express the respect to others. Even though in Berlin nobody uses vous, the polite version. I don't know. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you go to a coffee place, they say the unpolite thing. That is also, but that is supposed to be the, but that is supposed to be a compliment, you know, because then the old customer doesn't feel like a senior, you know, but he feels like, yeah, I belong here, you know, there is no distance, there is no ageism happening, you know, we are treated equally in a nice, friendly way. So then, of course, then the unpolite thing, if with that motivation, the unpolite thing is the polite thing. So again, it like in Nadia's question, it all depends on your present situation, that you try to understand the right situation and the people, and then you decide if you, which kind of language you use. Yeah. Then it comes 96. Just as the Buddha laid down to pass away, so should I lie in the desired direction when going to sleep. And first of all, with alertness, make the firm decision to quickly rise again. Yeah, so that is just an advice how to sleep. And of course, there are many more. Usually, yeah, when we practice Vajrasattva and so on, we also do that in the end of the day, we have some kind of review of the day. So we try to be aware what we have done today and what was good and what was not so good. In other words, what was very selfish. So we try to go through all these actions and thoughts and words that we have done. And then, yes, then if we find something that was not so good, then yeah, we regret that, we confess that, we purify that. And if we find good things, then we rejoice in them, and we mentally strengthen them and dedicate them. And we aspire, of course, to do it better tomorrow.
Can you elaborate a little on the last two lines? I didn't quite get that.
The last two lines that I said?
No, from the verse.
Oh, I'm not even in the verse yet.
No, you've not explained that. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm just introducing the whole sleep practice.
Oh, okay.
So, and while we are awake, we make the review thing, and but then and soon we sleep. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. In medical university, they told us, you know, if I think I told that already, but I like that so much. If we don't notice a wrong diagnosis every second week, we are a bad doctor. Got it? So assuming we always make mistakes, and we always, as a doctor, also make a wrong diagnosis, and that is sort of the reality, yes. But if you're not noticing that, then that is a problem, you know? So likewise, in the evening, my idea here is, or the example I'm trying to make here is, in the evening, we should also, when we review our day, I think we should notice also negative and selfish things. If we don't notice them, that is dangerous. that is my point, you know. So don't be overly confident, basically, but yeah, be as honest and have a good reality check what we have done over the day. Yeah, of course, from higher teachings like Mahamudra, you know, the split moment that we are dualistic or unaware, that is already wrong, sort of. So I guess there are many moments to confess. And then doing a confession, of course, is also wrong because it's dualistic, you know. So that can go endless. But here we keep it simple, you know. Like here is really meant like in a bodhisattva activity. So whatever was helpful, altruistic for others is labeled as good, and whatever was selfish and only for our own benefit, that is labeled as bad. And so we rejoice in the good things and we regret the bad ones, and we wish to do it better tomorrow. And then Pallavi, we are coming to the verse. Then we go to our bed, and then we assume this sleeping lion position of the Buddha, how Buddha passed into parinirvana. Apparently, Shantideva doesn't care in which direction we sleep here. We can use the desired direction. Normally, it's the north. But also in the commentaries, they say, yeah, just when we follow, yeah, in your room, you know, try to have something that there's no danger on the side of your head, you know, and sleep in that direction. Okay, Jangjuk, I will answer your question soon. So let's say our head is directing toward whatever direction we want, or to whatever direction is not dangerous, or traditionally towards the north. So if we lay like that, then so we lay on the right side. And also we talked once with Chaktu Kanto about it from Brazil, and she said this is true for men and women, because when you look into Vajrayana, you know, then the channels are a little bit like mirrored. But for the sleeping position, it's the same, because she thinks the heart should be like free. So if we lay on the left side, you know, then the heart is more compressed. So therefore, we all, women and men alike, because we have the heart usually on the left side, we should lay on the right side. And then, yeah, if we are facing to the north, then our with the head, then we are looking to the west, and we have the right hand under our head, some even close to the nostril, and then the left arm is sort of outstretched on our legs. This is the sleeping lion posture of the Buddha, and that would be one suggestion here how we should fall asleep. Yeah, I'm not good in falling asleep anyway, so I could try it also, because it will not create more disturbance, I think. Yeah, but that is definitely the position that is suggested here. And then, since we are in a Mahayana mind training text, then come the last two lines here. When we fall asleep, yeah, we should have awareness and mindfulness, and we should also have this urgency of impermanence, you know, that we remember everything is impermanent, and we don't, that we know that death can come any moment, and so on. And therefore we wish also that we awake quickly. Yeah. So that we don't waste too much time in sleep. And also when we fall asleep, so that is what we wish, and also that we wish also to have a good sleep, to be very regenerated and strong, to then more powerfully practice the Dharma tomorrow. So that could be all in our mind when we're falling asleep here in the Sutra Mahayana practice. Of course, in Vajrayana, we can then, when we have received these instructions on lucid dreaming and sleep yoga or dream yoga, that is, of course, applicable there. And then, yeah, whatever then we do when we sleep, then it is said, then the sleep becomes really like part of the practice. Jangshub is saying, but if we always make mistakes, what is the point in learning? Yeah, I think my always was, from Madhyamika point of view, was not a good word. Because always making mistakes would imply that Buddhahood is not possible. Yes, so you are right. I used always in the sense that, yeah, as long as we are in samsara, we will fail again and again. Nevertheless, the amount of failing is reducible, and the amount of bodhichitta is increasable, and therefore samsara is stoppable. And yeah,
I guess that's why it said that from relative point of view, Rinpoche says that we take 3 countless aeons, so that we are tired of making our own mistakes for so long, and then ultimately we become from a relative sense.
yes.
Yeah, but the 3 countless aeons could be just a moment, right?
Yeah, that's why relative. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, and we are not getting it now because of our habits, and since our habits are repetitive, our practice needs to be repetitive. And yeah, since our habit is repetitive, therefore our mistakes are repetitive, and therefore, yeah, we try it again and again. But also somewhere in Shantideva's text, he is saying, yeah, everything becomes easier, if we do it. So a master becomes a master because he was failing often, but he or she was still continuing. But usually, the students, they fail also, but they are not continuing so much, so that is the difference. Yeah, but that is the good news about samsara, right? It's like beginningless, but it's endless also. No, wrong. It's beginningless, but it has an individual end. Sorry.
Arne, can
Marina.
I ask yes, can I ask a question in regards to like the last thing that you said as far as the concept of failing, like learning through the process of failing?
Yes.
At least in my experience, like here I'm in the US, it's just with friends and people around me, I noticed that it's become very, very difficult, the concept of failure. So we try to avoid it at all possible costs, and that kind of fear around failing, which prevents us from maybe progression or creates this very aggressive way of approaching learning and things like that. I guess, like, as a teacher, have you seen the shifts? Have you seen the changes? Like, is there a difference about how somebody maybe from Bhutan may be approaching Dharma practice versus somebody who is in a culture where like failing is very stressful in a lot of ways?
Yes, and because you say Bhutan, I have a good example. Have you seen Travelers and Magicians, the movie by Khyentse Rinpoche? Have you seen it?
Yes, a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, so the main actor is called Tsering. And so once we have been in beer in a bar, coffee shop, coffee place, whatever, and oh, I can see you. suddenly out of the water.
There we go.
And so, you know, whenever Tsering, you know, this guy, whenever he has he's Bhutanese, whenever he has a stage, he is even more, more expressive and more performance and so on. And then I talked with some people there, Bhutanese, and they noticed, yeah, for example, if you bring the video camera and you film a Bhutanese person, he will be so excited and give everything and jump and sing and dance, you know, and totally courageous and confident. But if you do that with an American or German also, we become more shy, you know, if we are in front of a camera and we think, oh, we are more thinking about our potential failing. Whereas the Bhutanese, they see it as the possibility to express whatever they can. So yes, I think there's a difference. And I also notice in learning language, you know, like I think kids learn it quite fast because they don't care if they make mistakes. They just try it again and again. They speak it out, you know. But me, when I learn a new language, I think like 4 times, you know, before I then utter the word. And I think this fear of failing is, is blocking us in that way. Because, but the fear, of course, comes because we want to make a good impression. We want that others like us, and we want that others see good qualities in us. But it's sort of counterproductive, right? I think the whole stage fright thing comes from that. Of course, you have learned your dance and your performance, and you could perform well, but because you are so afraid and you're afraid to make a mistake, your performance will be worse. What do you think?
I mean, I think I agree. But I'm, definitely agree from the perspective of just this very self-conscious, very, very constantly, like, I guess from the Dharma perspective, it's constantly reaffirming a self, reaffirming some kind of whatever it is that I may want to be at that moment. But I don't know if there's, I guess this is the whole practice of the shamatha, is that, I mean, or like just coming back to letting the, whatever construct you create, just letting it go in some ways continually.
Yes. And also be super honest with whatever is happening in your mind. I mean, Ponop Rinpoche usually is praising shamatha because of that, because we don't have any other gadget and tool. We just look into our mind, you know, and be very honest with all the good and dark sides, you know.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's that continual I don't know if other people in the group have, you know, from different countries. I'm sure there's different layers of that, but.
Jon, how do you do that in Netherlands? How are you dealing with failing or afraid of failing?
Just about like Marina said in the USA, we don't talk much about failing because you are not supposed to fail in anything. And if you are failing, do just like as if it's your success. And that's the trick.
But that's true. I think in Germany also it's a taboo, basically, you know, like dying is a taboo, being handicapped is taboo, you know, all these failings sort of, we don't want to see them on the streets, you know, they're in some whatever residences, hospitals, you know, and like the king of the father of Siddhartha, you know, he wanted to present a world that is free of failure, you know. That's what we do in Germany also.
It's like put it in the closet, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rosa was quoting Khenpo Tsotum Gyatso Rinpoche, who said, erring and erring, we walk the unerring path. So erring and erring, we walk the unerring path. So yes, the path is unerring because it leads to liberation, but per definition, whoever is on the path is imperfect, you know. only a Buddha is perfect, and he or she doesn't need a path because he or she is in the result, you know. So therefore, the path itself is liberating and unmistaken, but the path dweller is full of shit, you know. Of course.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first step. It's like AA. Admit you have a problem.
Yes. And then on the whole path, of course, we become mixed. You know, we have problems and we have qualities. And then, yeah, per the problems or the mistakes go down, and the qualities are revealed. Yeah. But yeah, the path is, everybody on the path is per definition not perfect, is failing, is erring and mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jangshub wrote something else. In which way individual end, because earlier I talked about samsara being beginningless but has an individual end, because individuum is elusive and none exists even from the Shavaka's view. Please clarify this moment. I just meant, you know, like, for example, when I look at Yon, so Yon has a beginningless ignorance about the name of my brother. He's ignorant about it, and we can't find any beginning of that ignorance. It's there since beginningless time. But once the right causes and conditions come, and I tell Yon the name of my brother, then that ignorance has an end, you know, even though it was there since beginningless time. So that is sort of the idea, that it's beginningless samsara, but it's endable or stoppable, but individually. And I was saying individually because if the number of sentient beings is infinite, then there's always somebody in samsara. So the whole samsara is not really stoppable, but individually it is stoppable. Like with in Jon's example, you know, his worst samsara, not knowing the name of my brother, you know, that is stoppable. That samsara. Okay, where are we? 97. Ah, yeah, now I think it comes what we talked earlier, where I was lost where it might be. Although I'm unable to practice all the limitless varieties of Bodhisattva's conduct, I should certainly practice as much as has been mentioned here of this conduct that trains the mind. Yeah, it's not really there comes another verse, but here the point is, yeah, the Bodhisattvas, they have so many trainings and so many methods, and of course we might not be able to practice all of them, but then yes, we can summarize them. You know, in bodhichitta is maybe the essence. And then if you want to have 2, then we have relative and absolute bodhichitta. And then if you want to have 6, we have the 6 paramitas, or we have the 4 if we talk about the 4 measurables. So we can ramify it more and more, or the 37 practices of enlightenment. But here the point is, yeah, we might not do everything, but if we follow these advices here from Shantideva, that is the essence of everything, and by that we have practiced everything. Yeah, I'm sure you have heard that, because I'm a big Atisha fan. You know, when Atisha came to Tibet, he thought, he was wondering why he was invited, because everybody seemed to be practicing well. And then he understood, you know, when he met the Vajrayana practitioners, he understood that they are not really getting the essence. So he was saying that they practice 100 deities, but don't accomplish any deity. Whereas in India, you know, they practice one deity and by that accomplish all deities. So, and therefore he was in a tragic way happy that he came to Tibet, because he saw there's something to do. It was necessary for him to be there. Yeah, so the idea is, yes, we should not be discouraged maybe that there are many different practices, but we should try to understand the aim or the essence of the practices, and then and that is really doable. And Jangchup is saying regarding this endlessness of the general samsara that it sounds like an endless shift, because Bodhisattva's vow is to liberate all sentient beings. In brackets, joke. Yes, it's true. It's actually endless. If the number of sentient beings is endless, then the Bodhisattva vow is also endless, and the Bodhisattva's action and conduct and commitment is endless. But then, as Natya pointed out earlier, 3 countless eons is just a relative term, you know, and of course, for somebody that might look like an instant only. So time is so relative. Okay, then 98. Da-da-dum. 3 times by day and 3 times by night I should recite the Sutra of the 3 heaps. For by relying upon the Buddhas and the awakening mind, my remaining downfalls will be purified. Yeah, and this is basically referring to the fact what we talked about earlier, that we do make mistakes, that we do egocentric things, and that we harm others, and therefore it is good, for example, in the evening, but of course it's also good doing that during the day, that we do whatever confession practice. And yeah, I'm sure if you're in Vajrayana, you know, there are so many so many confession practices like Ngara Kongshak, you know, or the inexpressible absolute confession and so on. So in Vajrayana we have many practices to do, but then also in Sutrayana we have also confession practice. Here is the Sutra of the 3 heaps, or the Tri-Skanda Sutra. That is also a confession of downfalls, and there we visualize all the 35 Buddhas in front of us, and then we recite their names and prostrate, and in the sutra tradition we do that I think like 6 times per day, like in 24 hours, like day and night. And then yeah, and then we rely upon the Buddhas. That means we take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and we generate bodhicitta, the awakening mind, and then we purify the downfalls through these 4 the 4 strengths or powers that we know from Vajrasattva practice, but they're not Vajrasattva. I mean, uniquely Vajrasattva or Vajrayana. They also, Shantideva is talking about them in the 2nd and 3rd chapter, maybe 2nd chapter, and then we dedicate. So that is what we do, you know. And if you want, this Tri-Skanda Sutra is also translated in 84,000. And Tsongtsa Khenchen Rinpoche once taught on that. But there are many other sutras also. Shantideva will mention them later. And yeah, and we can also do it totally without liturgy. You know, it's just important to implement the 4 powers of purification, that we first notice and regret what we have done wrong, and then that we have some sort of witness. Either we have a teacher in front of us, or a spiritual friend, or a statue, or we visualize the Buddha or the Guru. And then that we apply the antidote. That means we do the opposite, or here in Shantideva's case, we just practice bodhichitta. That was what he's saying here, awakening mind. And then the fourth practice is to have the determination not to do it again, the negative thing. I'm sure you have heard these four powers, right?
It's mainly, it comes as Vajras. I've read it in Vajrasattva, the power of regret. Then you say the power of working towards not the path towards dissolving the regret, and then the antidote, and then the fourth one is the power of taking a resolve that you won't repeat it again. I can't remember exactly, but these are the
Yes.
four.
Yes, in English you have the four R's, you know, regret. The second is relying on a witness like Buddha.
Okay.
Third is remedy, and fourth is resolve. So
Right.
I think Mexican and Spanish people can say that better. Resolve, regret. And reliance and remedy. Yeah. Yeah, so the point is, and that is coming from Acharya Kesang, you don't need liturgies for that, you know, just have these four powers intact, and then you can do it, you know. And also the order doesn't matter so much, but all four are important to bring them together. Okay, and then 99. If we don't finish chapter 5, I hope you're not too sad, but let's see. Whatever I'm doing in any situation, whether for myself or for the benefit of others, I should strive to put into practice whatever has been taught for that situation. And for that, we need mindfulness, you know, in Tibetan Drenpa, which means mindfulness, but also remembrance, you know. So that means we need to have the information, and then in the specific situation, we should remember them. So therefore, whatever we do with body, speech, and mind, you know, wherever, whenever, in whatever situation, and no matter what purpose, if it's for ourselves only or for others, then, yeah, with little effort, or not little, but maybe a lot of effort and confidence, you know, we try to apply these teachings and trainings. And in case, yeah, you have forgotten the previous verses, but there were so many different advice, you know, what to do when we are walking or speaking or looking at others, you know, maybe you remember Shantideva saying we look down, you know, and then if suddenly somebody appears in your field of vision, we look up and say, welcome. And then we talked also today about eating and sitting, you know, and washing hands and sleeping and all of that. So these are all, of course, these are all minor disciplines, you know, like please break all of them, but don't kill anyone, you know, like killing, of course, you know, is much worse, you know. But still, these are all minor, important disciplines just to keep mindfulness intact. And yeah, a wonderful text is also the 37 practices of the Bodhisattvas, you know, where the whole Bodhicharyavatara is sort of essentialized. Or we have this 7-point of mind training with the, I always forget the number, 52 or 51 slogans. 59. So there are so many. How many?
59.
59 even?
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense, because if it would be 52, it would be so easy that it would be like once per week, you know, that would be fitting so well. And I would have remembered that 59 is an odd number, yeah. Maybe even a prime number, right? So it's very undividable.
Yeah, it's just like 60 minus 1.
And it's like 64 minus 5, actually. Now I can remember it. Yeah, anybody else want to do a equation that ends with 59? Yeah, no, 59. Okay, I think now I really know it. Thank you, Pallavi. That is good. Yeah, I think there are 50.
Yeah, I just know the numbers. I'm yet to come to the slogans.
I think 51 mental factors we have according to Asanga, and 58 according to Vasubandhu, and 58 58 wrathful deities. Yeah, 59 is very unique. Yeah. Anyway, that is just an example. That is also a great text where there are many slogans, 59 in 7 points. About that, I'm sure, because it's 7-point mind training. That is also very applicable to all walks of life. And yeah, and again, you know, also in Shantideva's text here, and also in the 84,000 teachings by Buddha, not all methods are for everyone. So that is really true. But all methods are important because somebody needs them. But still, for yourself, not all are relevant. Nevertheless, don't conveniently choose the slogans or practices that you would like to practice. So here we can go back to my favorite want and need. So yeah, don't choose the practices you want, but choose the practices you need. Yeah. Yes, I think that's good. And but also don't be, yeah, and like Kanto Rinpoche is saying that often, you know, don't bring your habits onto the path. And for example, I noticed some people when they get a compliment by their teacher and a criticism, some only remember the compliment and others only remember the criticism. That is really interesting. And I mean, we do that also in relationships. But it's interesting, and I think it says a lot. So here the idea is also, yeah, don't be picky, but accept both, you know, and don't get too depressed by only remembering the criticism, and don't be too overexcited if you only remember the compliment. But try to apply all these instructions. Nevertheless, I heard in relationships it's like that, right? That if I do one bad things towards my wife, psychologically she needs like 10 good things from me to forget them. So that shows, I think, we remember more the hurtful things or the negative things, which is a pity. Yeah, now comes the verse I was looking earlier. This is verse 100. When Natya said we need to learn everything for the sake of beings, there's no such thing as something that is not learned by a conqueror's daughter or son, a bodhisattva. Thus, if I'm skilled in living in this way, nothing will be non-meritorious. Yeah. Yeah, so I think we talked about that earlier. As a bodhisattva, we want to help possible in all walks of life, you know. If so maybe it's good to be able to, I don't know, stitch a shoe or make a glove. I don't even know the verb in English. Sewing with the needles and the thread. I don't even know. Sorry. And cooking and whatever, you know, everything can be useful. And yeah, as I said earlier, generally we have these 10 fields of knowledge that we are learning. And that would be actually really an interesting thing to study, this 10 at one point,
Is
because
it mentioned anywhere, the specific 10 ones?
yeah, so the outer ones are like poetry and astrology and grammar or terminology, and then performance or dance and theater. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, maybe grammar and terminology are two different things. So, but as you see, it's a lot of with language, you know, poetry, name, grammar, and so on, and then astrology definitely, and performance, you know, whatever performance, music, dance. So that these are like the worldly sciences, but there are Buddhist teachings about that, and it's really interesting. And then the extraordinary ones are more like healing, and then art, philosophy, logic, and then the Dharma is the end, like the Dharma teachings. I hope that is sort of complete. Yeah, Taisitupa used to teach on that quite a lot. It was really interesting. But of course, on the other hand, we also know our precious human life is impermanent, so the time is not endless, and therefore we cannot learn everything, and therefore we have to learn the most essential things. I don't know, for me it's difficult because I would have so much interest to learn all these 10, you know, like really properly, and that could be time consuming. Yeah, the general idea is just that bodhisattvas, have many capacities, many abilities, many talents, and many skills and tools to help beings. That is really the main thing. And that is also explained here in verse 101. Mm-hmm. Da-da-dum. Whether directly or indirectly, I should not do anything that is not for the benefit of others. And solely for the sake of sentient beings, I should dedicate everything towards awakening. Yeah, that is, of course, the Bodhisattva ideal, that we really focus only on the benefit of others. But of course, and that was, I think, taught also in the 3rd chapter, we are, as human beings, or me as an ordinary human being, yes, since I'm on the path, I'm not perfect, and I have my egoistic needs also, and my wants, and I need my privacy, even though that is not the aim. The point I'm trying to make is we should also respect where we are, you know. And so I'm saying in the 3rd chapter, for example, Shantideva, I think it was in the 3rd, Shantideva was saying, yeah, if you have a long journey ahead of you, you know, because you want to find jewels in a foreign land, and sometimes it's necessary to land on an island, you know, to rest and to rest and regenerate, regather your strengths, you know, especially at those times, you know, on the ship, you know, you don't have some fruits anymore. It's after a couple of weeks and so on, you know, and then you come to an island and then you have vitamins and all these things again. I'm making that up now, but I think that that's still true. So you get fit again and regenerated, and then you continue, you know. So he's giving that example, and that is really meant for that, you know. Sometimes, yes, on our level, we just need breaks. We need holidays or weekends or free evenings or cinema or just leisure time, music, massage, whatever. That is all good. So that it's not meant that we should never do that. Nevertheless, we can still do these things, these breaks and holidays. You know, holiday doesn't mean like 3 weeks in Valencia only, you know, but just every day we can have a holiday, you know, have a nice coffee with a friend. So yeah, nevertheless, my point is, if we do these things, we can still do them with the motivation, so that we are again regenerated to work for the benefit of beings. So then these breaks and holidays are not totally unrelated, but are put in the same context. Yeah, and so that's also how we can understand maybe the last two lines here of this verse, that so therefore even these holidays we put into this context of helping sentient beings and dedicating everything to enlightenment. And yeah, we can, I think in one of the commentaries there was also written, like, since we breathe all the time, not all the time again, but 14 times per minute, that's quite a lot. So we can yeah, practice Tonglen, for example, what will be explained in the 8th chapter, you know. For that, of course, we need a little bit conscious remembrance that we want to do it, but also just in the morning when we wake up, we can assume that we will breathe 14 times per minute, which is maybe 20,000 times per day or something. So we can just also dedicate that breathing, you know, that that we are breathing in order to have this precious human life, in order to help sentient beings. So what I meant, you know, if we practice Tonglen, then we should be really aware, you know, and we should visualize a little bit why we are practicing it. But just generally, we can put our mind onto the breathing, for example, in the morning, and just dedicate the whole 20,000 of in and out breath for the sake of others. So these kind of small things we can do. Or when we eat, also we eat in order to maintain and strengthen our precious human life, to have a longer precious human life, in order to practice the Dharma, or in other words, to benefit others. So we can really bring everything into it. So we didn't manage to finish the chapter, which is also good. But then we will do so in October. Is there anything to discuss? Otherwise, we would come to an end.
One thing you know, sometimes when I go back to the verses, and there are verses which are a little extreme for the people of our 21st century, and constantly reminding myself that, oh no, this is not really directly meant for people in the 21st century, but it was meant for the monks. So
The
it's
7th
like,
century, yes, yeah.
you know, that slight on the edge kind of thing, that the instructions that are given in some chapters, especially vigilant introspection, where it's all about the conduct. So there's a little, I find myself like, oh no, okay, I don't have to go that direction.
Yeah, as I said, first of all, not all instructions are for everyone. And second, also some are just like giving the hint, you know, and then maybe you can extrapolate or interpolate. I don't know. You can you can think further and be creative, you know, what that maybe means for you in your life nowadays.
Yeah. I think it's not like something that we can just completely discard, right? Because it's from a larger context, and some bit of it can be applied. It doesn't need to be like bang on or like directly.
But what is your example, for example?
I don't know. I realized that, and I wanted to bring that up last time, but I realized that there was this. Yeah, like I felt that the looking up thing, one was that, not looking up but looking down.
Yes.
Meeting the eyes thing. That was one of them, but a couple of them I felt like, so I understood the context, but I have to be a little more mindful about, like, okay, like consider it a little lightly than the other paragraphs. Is that okay?
Yes, if you do that after a good examination, if you're not just lazy not to do it, but if you really think that is not really a helpful method at the moment for your life, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have
like basically not completely discarding it. Give it some kind of a little bit of examining, and also then move ahead.
Yes, as long as you're honest and decide based on that, why you think it's not so important at the moment. Anything else? Okay, then then let's dedicate. Again, I don't have. We could even look at verses. Let's go to 58 at least, the last one of this whole thing. Yeah, we could even reach. There are so many verses to reach. Sorry. Yeah, I think I will look at it for next time. Maybe here. Here, 7. So I'm jumping here to verse 7 and 8, 9, 10 or something from the 3rd chapter. There's a small dedication. It's in the context after we have practiced the 7 branches. Then there is, of course, the dedication in the 7th or 8th branch here. And before we then take the Bodhisattva vow. So that goes like that. Thus, by the virtue collected through all that I have done, may the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world, until everyone is healed. May a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger, and during the eon of famine, may I myself change into food and drink. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all things they could need, and may these be placed close beside them. Without any sense of loss, I shall give up my body and enjoyments, as well as all my virtues of the 3 times for the sake of benefiting all. Yeah, I think it could go endless. And then maybe the very last verse in chapter 10. I prostrate to Manyogosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Arne.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you for your interactiveness and everything.
Thank you, Arne.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.